Hey gamers, I'm the Belknap Gamer, and we're back with another Why This Class is Awesome. The channel has been going through a lot of fun stuff. Just some real quick things before we start. We've hit over 100 subscribers, so I have a video for that over on the channel, so you can check that out. As well as just thank you to everyone who's enjoying these, and I'm glad these videos are really working out. If you got any criticisms or anything you'd like to see on these channels, I'm always looking to improve and do more. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about Champion, which is a very interesting twist, I think. It used to be Paladin, and for a lot of other systems and prior systems, it was Paladin, but they moved Champion into its own category, and I really like this. The Champion is the fighter of good or evil. They are the ones who are out there on the front line, heavy plate mail wielding individuals who have the power of gods at their hands. Now, Paladin is one of the causes that a champion can take, but they can also take things like the Liberator, the Redeemer, the Tyrant, Desecrator, and the Anti-Paladin. All very interesting, and one of the things about this archetype that makes it really cool in general is you are a big armor-wielding individual. You have the power of a god on your side. You're essentially a fighter with magic and divine abilities on top of it. It's really cool. You feel really powerful playing the champion. And one of the new things that they've added with the champion as well is there is not a tight restriction. Now, there is the causes of good and the causes of evil, and these will inherently shift your character in the direction of good or evil just by the acts you're committing. But technically, a champion only needs to be of an alignment allowed by the god. Now, obviously, some gods allow for like the good to evil spectrum, especially when it comes to like lawful, like Abadar does. And when you pick your cause, it causes you to go in one direction or the other. But still, it's better than every single paladin character, every single champion character being lawful good. You can be on the spectrum. And in fact, each of the causes, good or evil, align with lawful, neutral, or chaotic. There's a lot you can do. And just the way you pursue your god's tenets and the tenets of your cause can create a lot of really interesting game mechanics and roleplay narrative for you and your champion. It makes them really good, really interesting, and it's something I highly recommend everyone try out once and really dive into the whole like uplifting your god aspect of it. I promise you it will make for a really good time. All the causes in the game, by the way, are really good. Like, for instance, each of the good causes prevent damage to an ally within 15 feet on top of the other effects that they do. And eventually, when you get your smite ability, your causes will also just do persistent good damage, which is phenomenal against enemies that are evil innately, and some, like demons, devils, and daemons, take extra damage every time they suffer good damage because they have a good weakness to good, which is so good. You can just incinerate evil creatures with that persistent good damage, even if you're not hitting them. And the fact that you can guard your allies is such a strong player archetype. Just being able to help resist an amount of damage equal to what? Your level +2. Mwah. All the good tenets have amazing effects. The Paladin also gets Retributive Strike, so anyone they defend with this action, they also can strike them back. The Redeemer can just straight out negate the attack if the enemy doesn't want to become enfeebled 2, which enfeebled 2 is disgusting because it not only reduces their damage for a lot of creatures and characters, it also reduces their chance to hit. And on top of that, if you're a Redeemer champion, you can also easily restrain your target because their strength will actually be, reduced, which will make it a lot easier to, beat them out in strength-based checks. I think the Redeemer is probably one of my favorite champions just because you give the enemy that option. You can tell them, don't do it so you'll regret it. And you can then you can come up on them at it. It's really good. Liberator is also really good. On top of the ability to remove damage, they can also negate grappling, restraining, even paralysis. Being able to remove paralysis from an ally, you allow for an extra roll or an extra escape check, whatever it may be. But just being able to help remove that is big. You can give your allies extra rolls to negate over them. Still, anything helps in those situations, and paralysis can put someone out of the fight because most paralysis effects last for like a minute, which is pretty nasty. And we can't forget our causes of evil. Now, a lot of the causes of evil are very different, and they do very different things. When you do get your smite ability, though, they do persistent evil damage, and while not many creatures have weakness to evil per se, this does affect a good number of creatures. It's not as good, but a lot of their actual cause effects are actually pretty solid. The Tyrant straight up just forces people to kneel with the audacity of striking them. Like, nothing says badass than being struck and just looking at them and be like, kneel or suffer. If they don't kneel, you do mental damage to them, and mental damage is one of the least resisted damage types in the game. It's really good, and Tyrant is just so aesthetically good. The Desecrator also can just straight up resist damage for themselves, unlike the good causes. All the good causes, you negate damage for an ally. It cannot be done for yourself, but the Desecrator, the neutral archetype, they negate the damage on themselves, making Desecrators innately super tanky. It's really, really good, and it makes the Desecrator one of the tankiest characters in the game. On top of that, the Anti-Paladin is just the antithesis to the Paladin. So you take extra, and actually, interesting thing, the Anti-Paladin is the chaotic evil variant, which I find very interesting, considering the Paladin is the lawful good which makes them exactly opposite. I love that. But the Anti-Paladin, when you strike them, they can choose to take extra damage and then inflict that back to you. And of course, they do more persistent evil damage than any of the other classes. Oh yeah, by the way, most of the evil causes actually allow you until the end of your next turn to just do extra evil damage to people that you hit, which the Anti-Paladin does twice as much as anyone else for their per hit, which is really good, really solid. Makes the Anti-Paladin just awful to hit. They essentially always have thorns, which is pretty awesome. Champions can get access to uncommon weapons just innately. As long as it's the weapon of your deity, you always are trained in whatever weapon you can do. Whatever new gods come out, whatever new gods your DM invents, they can give those gods interesting weapons for you to utilize with all of your abilities. And I think that's really good. That makes some characters just have unique item builds and use a very unique or thematic weapon that honestly just adds to the image. I can't think of any other way of really making these characters even more badass than what they just get innately as being a part of the class, not including feats. It's amazing. Lay on Hands, or the evil variation Touch of Corruption, are both amazing abilities. Lay on Hands can heal an ally. It's a focus spell that you automatically get, and the heal is pretty good. It's like 6 per spell level, which is phenomenal. And not only that, but Lay on Hands also gives that ally a +2 to their AC for a round, which is really good. Plus a +2 to your AC it reduces an enemy's chance to hit you by 10%. like straight out. It's really solid. And if you have a tanky ally, a fighter, or another champion even, oh my god, multiple champions, we'll get back to that later, you can just make them untouchable. While Touch of Corruption can heal undead enemy or allies, which can be really good. There are actually some Necromancer champion builds, which I think is really cool. A Necromancer champion sounds amazing. But on top of that, they get an ability that reduces, it does negative damage to an enemy, so pretty much any living creature, and it reduces their AC by 2, which makes them 10% more likely to be hit. And considering the evil tenant's likelihood of damaging you and attacking you and doing more damage, that's actually pretty bad if you get hit by their Touch of Corruption. I think both, like, just the fact that champion plays so heavily with good and evil just makes them so flavorful, and then their abilities just stack on top of that, making for some very interesting builds. Champions get shield block. Nothing to say. Shield block's a god tier ability. It makes you innately tankier as long as you're raising your shield. And honestly, it just extra health. You have more items you can, like, magic items, like magic shields especially, are so fascinating and add to a character so much. Having shield block just makes it more likely to use a shield, which I don't think is a bad thing whatsoever. The Divine Ally feature from the champion class is really good. Whether you get a mount, which is an animal companion, which animal companions in this system are already really good, or a shield that is just better. It has extra hardness and extra HP, which increases its BT. Or the weapon, which you just get rune effects. You don't get runes, you get rune effects. Bumped my mic there. Added to your weapon, which means whatever runes your weapon has, this adds on top of it, and you can pick up more feats to make the runes even better. The weapon is so, they're all really, really good, but the weapon just feels chef's kiss. It's really good. It makes your character feel even more powerful. And mixed with their next feature, which is the fact that they get the armor specializations, which, if you don't know, which I wouldn't blame you, armor specializations just reduce damage from physical weapons of a certain type based on what armor you're wearing. Most plate-wielding characters will get damage resistance to bludgeoning damage, but you can get resistance to piercing and slashing damage as well, making your character even tankier. You can make nigh unkillable characters with champion using their base features. We haven't even gotten to feats yet. Oh my god. Well, yes, appropriately. We're going to go ahead and kick off with the feats here, try to get these done before the 20-minute mark. We're going to try here. Deity's domain. Getting domain spells is always super baller. Getting from the domains of your god. Each god typically has like 4. So if you really wanted to, you can just pick up a bunch of domains and have a spellcasting champion, which again is really cool. Heavy armor caster. Even though they're focus spells, you can even get cleric archetype dedications if you really want to go the distance. Like I said, domain spells are really good. Check out my cleric video if you want to see some of the most interesting domain spells, in my opinion. Oh my god, I had a great idea. We'll get back to that later. Everstand Stance. It does require that your character is a member of Last Wall, but honestly, I wouldn't hold that against the player. And there's always, every game, every group has one player that wants to do a solo shield, but they just want a shield. They want a shield and they want to bash people's shield and they want to just have a shield or 2 shields. Well, this one doesn't give you 2 shields, but it gives you one shield, and it makes you tankier like all other. Everstand Stance is really cool. And not only that, but there are other feats as well with Everstand Stance that further improve the stance, making your shield only build actually legitimate, which I find is amazing. There is such a long list of oaths that I'm not going to go into detail. They're going to appear here on screen, but let me tell you, the oaths are really good. If you just want to kill one creature in particular, one type of creature, and have other benefits and even further feats for some of the oaths. It's really good. They add to your tenants as well, which I didn't mention earlier, but champions are really interesting because they have to follow a set of rules based on their deity's anathema, the tenets of their cause, and then any tenets they pick up, which oaths typically add to their tenets, which means your character gets a list of rules they have to follow. And I think that actually makes the characters more interesting. Our Tuesday game that we have here on the channel actually has a paladin with a bunch of tenets that they have to follow. And there's some interesting moments where some tenets overpower others, and it really makes your character really dynamic. And the oaths just add to that and let you do absurd amounts of damage to particular creatures, including dragons. Mercy build. The Mercy build is really good if you want to have a one-touch cure-all ability. There is a long list of Mercy feats that your champion can just touch someone and cure them of one or multiple effects. I love the Mercy build. It makes your character a really good utility healer type character that can clear debuffs on top of all the other cool things that champion innately gets. So a Mercy build, I think, is perfect for a champion who really wants to be more utility and still a big tank on the battlefield. Auras. Auras are just passive buffs that they give to everyone around them, or passive debuffs when we're talking about the evil tenets. I love the aura effects. They make the characters just ooze, literally energy that either helps their allies or hurts their enemies. The evil tenants auras are, by the way, really good and really nasty. And it's just for having the audacity of being next to them. I can't say enough. Champions just have a lot of good things that they just have, and they're always on all the time, like their auras, like their oaths. They don't even have to activate these kind of abilities, and they can just mess you up pretty seriously. Champions are really good. We're getting here to the end. Honestly, I can say that most champion feats just can improve one of the builds, whether you want to go full tank, whether you want to go shield build, whether you want to go just an oath build and be a slayer of evil, whether your main thing for your character is just to slay your enemies, there is a build for that where you are just the God's right hand, God's executioner. Doesn't that have a great ring to it? Champions really solid, really good. And I like a lot of their other feats are really good. You get feats for improving your divine ally. You can get a second divine ally. So not only can you have an amazing weapon, but an amazing shield at the same time. Fucking the tenants of evil get what's called the pale horse, where you just have a foreboding, intimidating mount. That's cool. That's really epic, and that really just pounds in that aesthetic that champions are badasses of good, of evil. Both aesthetics are really solid, and not only that, but they're one of the tankiest, hardiest classes in the game, and they can either help allies or hurt enemies in equal measure. So that's going to be it for champion. I did not read out as much of like the individual feats as possible, mostly because they have so many feats of the same line that do the same thing. But the fact that they exist is cool. All the oaths and all the extra damage they can do, and they can even give you resistances. All the auras that can assist your allies. Like, I can't go through all these feats and make it a 20-minute video. Check it out for yourself. Go to Archive and Nethys, open up your core rulebook, whatever. Champion is really cool. They have so many great themes. They have so many good role-playing dynamics to give your role-playing experience just more mechanics, like mechanical role-playing, I think is really interesting. I hope you all liked it, and I hope you all liked this video. Check us out at any of our games that we run during the week. Most of them are 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, including our newest game, Shadows That Laugh, which is every Friday, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. and join us in the Discord, which is in the description, where you can possibly join us for any of our future games. Also, players, I try to be as active as I can on the Discord as well, so if you're ever typing in the general chat, I'll try to hop in and talk with you as well. But with that, we're going to go ahead and end this session here. I hope you all liked it, and good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye.